to Invest Insights. I'm Abby Maloney. I'm joined today by Brian Kirkpatrick, the co-president of Universal Engineering Sciences. Brian, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we're going to be looking at this new normal that has been created due to the pandemic. But before we get there, I wanted to start off by seeing what were some new personal norms that you started due to the pandemic that you know you're going to continue into the future.
Yeah, so I don't know if anything new was created. It was a lot of continuing what I was doing, which, was a lot of travel during COVID, a lot of, in-person meetings.
Wow.
We had with so many great folks that I just felt like it was so important on us to make sure we lived up to those promises and to be there during a very tough time for, not only our country, but for the world.
I think about the time when the pandemic first happened and just travel shut down. And here you are still traveling. That must have been such an interesting time to experience airports and still be able to meet people in person when, every state was handling the pandemic so differently. What was that like?
It was definitely weird going from airports totally packed to airports, completely empty, planes empty. I was in Las Vegas and I couldn't get a hotel room because the whole strip was shut down.
Wow.
Scrambling to get a hotel room to meet with our partners out in Nevada. It was difficult, but we got it done and business keeps moving forward.
And you alluded to those partnerships that you had been fostering over the past number of months. And so I wanted to look at that. Universal Engineering Sciences was named the fastest growing firm in the United States in architecture, engineering, planning, environmental, and construction industries by this big group's 2021 Hot Firm list. This primarily was accomplished by a series of mergers. How have the business plans for UES been reshaped by this rapid growth? And what ways and what is the key to keeping this growth sustainable for the long-term future?
Yeah, so over the last couple of years, our investment and our growth thesis is really about that hyper growth. So starting a couple of years ago, we put together our growth plans. It did include quite a few acquisitions and partnerships. The plan from the beginning was to be one of the most dominant or preeminent engineering consulting firms across the nation. So very clear, very succinct path, and we've executed on that. I'd say we probably went a little faster than even we anticipated, and created partnerships with great folks, good businesses, and luckily during the pandemic, those businesses performed incredibly well, and oftentimes benefited from some of the infrastructure that was going on during that time. So very fortunate and created great partnerships over the last 2 years.
And what was your role in handling the seamlessly integrate all of these new businesses under the same umbrella?
So my main role is to really facilitate that people part of that partnership. So that's why we mentioned travel before. It was important I was there, in person. We have a great partner, Gary Elswijk, who also runs a lot of the M&A for us, really well known in the business. And so this partnership, both internally with my peers and then the partnerships we create with these new operators, just being there for them. How do we support your day-to-day activities? What type of investment do you need to grow maybe a different vertical we weren't able to in the past? So it's just being there, providing those resources to whatever it is that could help that growth at just a faster clip.
From your perspective as an engineering firm that focuses on geotechnical engineering, can you discuss how you've seen the focus shift for certain engineering services as the public and private sector consider environmental and infrastructure related challenges as they relate to the future of businesses in the region?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we're seeing a lot more of that, of course, in the news with the various ESG initiatives as well that are really a global thing now.
Can you explain to our audience that might not be familiar an ESG initiative?
Yeah, so it's really an initiative to be smarter in your impact on the environment. So your economic, your social, and your governance, really paying more attention to those things that we could do to make this earth a better place for everybody in the future. And so, the E part is environmental, and the environmental component is one of our fastest growing areas of our business. Through various partnerships and acquisitions over the last 2 years, we now have over 200 environmental folks across this nation that work for Universal and that are out there, solving those issues every single day.
In what ways has UES had to adapt or shape your business model to accommodate all of these shifts?
I don't think we've shifted all that much. What we've done is added resources in perhaps a region that may have needed a different service, and so we're saying, hey, to all our great partners, you now have an opportunity to offer XYZ service in the market that maybe you didn't have before. So that's connecting different relationships across the nation, different experts, different engineers to help out where that opportunity may jump up in that specific region or under that specific acquisition.
In this increasingly competitive environment for those in the engineering and construction industries, what is the key to keeping an engineering firm like UES competitive for the long term? And what role does and will strategic partnerships continue to play in remaining competitive?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's 100% the people. The people is what makes this business work. Every single day, we're working on the people side of the business. We can only grow with more great people. Over the last couple months, we've doubled our recruiter base to get more and more folks in here. We hired a new recruiter in the Midwest this week. Again, it's finding great people, growing great people, and creating that people first culture throughout the organization.
And now that we find ourselves in this new landscape, what's next for Universal Engineering Sciences and the engineering sector overall?
Yeah, so for Universal, it's more of the same. So I'm really excited about growth and more of that hyper growth that we've experienced. As we discussed earlier, we create partnerships, and recently we did announce a partnership with a new institutional investor that will allow us to keep growing at that clip. From day one, we wanted to be the nation's leading engineering consulting firm, and we have great partners that help us along the way as well. So more from us is more growth, more great people, and just more excitement from Universal.
Fabulous. Well, thank you again. That was Brian Kirkpatrick, the co-president of Universal Engineering Sciences. My name is Abby Malone, and you've been watching Invest Insights. Thank you again, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date on the latest business trends from our knowledgeable experts. Be sure to check out the description below for more information on the segment you just watched. Thanks for tuning in.